Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Winter Oastmania Grand Slam 2025. It has been a very exciting round of 32 weekend, and we are finally at the last matchup for this weekend. It is going to be our 51st seed, Der Kleinenkek, going up against our 46th seed in Esteban to see who will be continuing on in that loser's bracket. It's going to be a very exciting showdown. Hopefully, we get some exciting back and forths here to round out a very cool round of 32 weekend. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Nightcore. Nightcore, how's it going?
How's it going, Sparky? Last match of the round of 32, we have seen some very good matches, a lot of close ones, but we haven't even seen a tiebreaker yet. So maybe this match, just judging by the seeds, maybe this one might be, maybe we could see our potentially first and last round of 32 tiebreaker.
Potentially. It's going to be pretty close in terms of seeding overall, but I mean, I was fortunate enough to see Esteban play last weekend, and oh boy, were they the type to punch well above their weight in terms of overall performance. Didn't have the opportunity to see Kleinenkek last weekend, unfortunately, so it'll be interesting to see how they stack up to them going into this matchup. So while I'm hopeful for a tiebreaker before round of 32 is up, we'll just have to wait and see here how they're gonna respond to Esteban's performances here.
Oh, totally, I agree with you on that. So I haven't really seen both these players perform yet. I am familiar with Esteban, but I haven't really seen him perform in any tournaments myself personally. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see, as you said, that they do pack a punch. So can't wait to see how both of them perform.
For sure, and as we make our way through this warm-up, I mean, yes, it is an OD0 LN chart, so you kind of feel like a bit of a god playing through stuff like this. The accuracies are actually pretty close between the two of them, and this is pretty dense LN in the grand scheme of things. Wouldn't be something we'd normally see at this stage of the tournament. Maybe a couple of stages ahead, of course, maybe on a more understandable OD, maybe like OD6, OD7. But regardless, the fact that both of these two are able to essentially breeze through this as it stands could mean we're in for a bit of a show here. So if Der Kleinenkek can actually maintain this level of consistency going into the, dare I say, easier maps that this pool will provide, then, I mean, anything goes. I mean, we're still in that range where the maps are easy enough that singular mistakes could cost you points that you would otherwise feel secure in obtaining because of the caliber of players in this tournament. So can't take anything for granted going into this. We'll wait to see if there's a second warm-up where we can get into the match proper. Our referee asking if Esteban has a warm-up themselves.
So you were correct. We might have a second warm up. I don't think Esteban does have a prepared warm up though, so that means we could potentially just be getting into rolls. Oh, wait, never mind. They do have a they do have a warm up.
Well, they threw out a map name without providing a link. While we like to feel encyclopedic in our knowledge of charts, we kind of need the link. We kind of need to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what the map is. Like, yeah, we're not gonna be able to pull that out on a whim.
Unless it's something recognizable like Galaxy. That's
Yeah,
not recognizable.
it's like Galaxy Collapse. I mean, you can throw out like Blue Zenith. I mean, those are two really bad examples because they go over the time limit. But like, they're not. But I mean, to be fair, you could be going for the ranked Ruinosk, Blue Zenith, or you can go for Mint's meme map that's existing somewhere in the graveyard where it's literally just 1-2 column downbeats for literal 4 minutes.
I would
But
give I would give someone a month for supporter if they put on Blue Zenith, the joke one.
someone's gonna take you up on that. I feel like now that you've said it, but yes, Estabine providing the link here for this chart. We'll be getting into the second warm-up. If they threw out the name, I imagine they might have done it last weekend, but it's with all the maps that are in the game, in Graveyard and in Ranked, it's one of those where you just, yeah.
Imagine just like someone putting a rate. So like they just put like one of difficult. If they just say it by difficulty, there's say 1.1. Like this.
Ah, okay. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, this falls in that realm of close to being ubiquitous with players that have been around for a while. Nakosek Jump Stream, of course, just bog standard, but unfortunately the name does get censored by the RRC chat. But I mean, on 1.1 makes it a little bit shorter, so we won't have to deal with it for too long. But gotta wait for the players to ready up, and 209 BPM, we're slowly approaching that range of speed for some of the jump stream picks in this pool. So while we're not there just yet, round of 16 quarterfinals could approach that number without, I mean, I don't have knowledge of the pools ahead of time because I play in this tournament. So this is maybe a good barometer of how their mid-game jump stream technique is going into this match.
Totally. And even then, it could probably show for some of our picks. Although the picks in the pool aren't as physical compared to this, maybe if we could see accuracy-wise, it could probably give us an insight in how they'll perform in some of the Rice picks, especially something like Rice 1.
Yeah, I think that might be our closest like barometer because of the fact that it's like thinking back to this weekend's Rice pool, there isn't really like a pure dedicated raw jump stream-esque pick. Each of them have their own little like embellishments here and there that kind of break up that monotony in comparison to something like this where it's just all jump stream.
Yep. Especially something like Race 4, which if they pick, it will be very amusing to watch. It's definitely a very unique map, to say the least, and I really like it for it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely adds a little bit of spice to the pool overall. Just making players play stuff out of their comfort zone, unconventional things, just kind of breaking up the, I guess, I don't want to say monotonous structure, but because the structure does lend itself to making picks a little easier when it comes to map pooling. But the fact that they aren't all kind of like fitting into the traditional, dare I say, traditional structures of what we've become accustomed to with regards to the map pooling. This is pretty close overall. Only 2,000 points separating the two of them going into this. They've had their fair share of difficulties throughout this map. Estabine actually picking up a couple of misses to the accuracy drops from their Kleinekek. So, I mean, this is shaping up to be one of those where these two might just, like, take the gauntlets off, throw them down, go all Rice, and once they exhaust those, kind of figure it out on the LN hybrids based on how we've been seeing things go. But could be wrong. I think the Protexan fans are going to give us a bit more of insight as to where these players are in terms of overall headspace.
I would totally agree with you. I think maybe Rice will probably be the priority when it comes to both of these players. As their seeds are still very balanced, it's just going to be what they're more comfortable with. And I can just say now, just by the looks of these players, I'd be fairly confident that they'd be able to get a single miss 200, single digit 200s, or potentially even some V1 double S's in most of the Rice. We'll just have to see though.
Absolutely. With this map finishing up here, Estabine, despite not getting the full combo, able to win out in terms of accuracy. Could maybe forecast some things on the horizon when it comes to some of those more technically demanding rice picks in this pool, but we're going to get into the rolls, protects, and bans to determine what these two are going to opt to go into. But we'll see how it goes. That's to be with the 76 right out of the gate. We'll see what the response is.
I feel like Red's gonna win. I just have a feeling.
Maybe 77?
Oh,
70.
close.
Close.
Oh,
But Estabine does win the roll there, so gonna get through the proceedings the way they should. And Protect's gonna come first. Estabine up to bat, and this will be the tell. Got to be able to glean some information out of this as we wait for them to protect something in this pool. Given their warm up, maybe something like Rice 1, Rice 6, also a bit of outside contention, but there's also the funny picks like Rice 3, Rice 4, potentially. There's definitely some variety to go into for them. But no, it's gonna be LN2.
kind of surprising they go for LN2, but that might be. I think if they're fairly confident in something like LN2, it kind of might show a small sign of strength, honestly, because the Rice is a lot more balanced. So maybe you might want to take a small gamble, maybe with DLN. And since it's not really too release heavy, I'd say yet, maybe you could probably get away with some of the hybrids, even LN3, maybe even LN1. So, yeah, pretty reasonable protect.
Yeah, for sure. Can't argue with that as we get into the bans now. It's going to be Declinakek up to ban first. And if LN2 gets protected, maybe Estabine tipping their hand a little bit, an opportunity to remove one of the other LN picks from the pool. It's going to be LN1, so understandable. I think it is the longest LN pick in the pool. It might be a couple seconds away from Magnolia, but the coordination aspect, there are some tricky anchored hanging releases in that chart that can get a little hard to read through. So between that and Magnolia, kind of pick your poison. Which one are you more comfortable getting through? And now leaving Estabine with a ban.
Crystal's saying in chat that that he's gonna be banning hybrid free. Now I'm not too sure. Now I've heard that like he did skim through the map though, so maybe hybrid free ban just because potentially S Wheeler. Oh, so no hybrid 2.
I think they're doing that to spite our referee.
Yeah.
Just to ensure that they are incorrect. Just the extremely loud incorrect buzzer going off in their head. So removing Hybrid 2, not going to get Epic Man 2's guess difficulty through here. And Estabine going to be first one up to pick.
So, ask what Hybrid 2 was. Hybrid 2 is the... It's kind of more the physical hybrid. I'd say more Rice-oriented. With just the coordination bursts.
Yeah, it definitely has that element. I think just the Grace Note Flam transitions found throughout can cause a little bit of discomfort. But it's worth getting rid of if you can't handle those transitions cleanly, or at least comfortably and consistently. So with that out of the way, we have the LN Protect. Not going to go for it to start things off here. It's going to be Rice 4. So
we're heading into the funny.
Yeah, this is one of those charts that if you wanted everything that a Rice player usually tries to avoid, one-hand trills into two-hand trills into just jump stream with a couple of bursts in between to break up that 1-4 monotony, this is perfect.
Honestly, it would kind of be making sense that Esmin would be picking this first.
Mhm.
Well, surely he'd probably be confident in something like this, and plus just seeing a jump scare performance. It'd be kind of nice to dip the toes in small bit, just something like this. Maybe kind of throw off the opponent.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how they perform on this. Going for the early Rice pick against somebody that it seems to be overjoyed that we're going into a Rice map could potentially spell a little bit of trouble. It's really going to come down to holding composure and holding on to your FC for as long as possible if you are the type to drop every now and again. But with how these two have been playing through the warm-ups, I imagine it's just going to come down to pure ratio, keeping that 200 count as low as possible, and just hoping that your score is better at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're just gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, this introduction, a bit of a precursor of what is to come as we get things underway. The players settling into this first map of this best of 9. First player to 5 points will be moving on to the round of 16 weekend. Loser will be eliminated here and now as we get into the one-handed trill jump stream section. And Dark Kleinekek actually going to pick up the first drop, and a pretty massive one as well, down into that low 98% range. Just to be picking up a couple of 200s in comparison, but still able to hang on, crossing that 400 combo cap and growing this lead to the tune of about 17,000 points.
That's definitely going to give a very lofty lead to Sabine, especially that double miss from Dirk as well. Being those traded back, but since I think those drops are very close, so nothing too substantial I don't think will be affecting Sabine. We're just going to really have to see in the second half on how things go. Again, just looking at it, potentially see another drop.
Yeah, for sure. It was weird during the break section when things were finally like quiet, as to being actually missing on air while we were talking through the transitions of their Kleinekek, finding a couple of drops, and another one too, Boot, going to make things go from bad to worse for them in their chances of trying to get back into this chart. 30,000 points now, the margin between the two of them, and it's funny, the mentality between these two players, I can imagine they have two very different reactions going on, where Kleinekek kind of maybe understands that with those couple of misses, not going to get traded back potentially, and Estabine with the singular drop probably feels like this map's already over for them, and both of them are probably going to be surprised by the outcome here.
Estabine almost dropping under that 9 mark to that polyrhythm ending, but still too near full combo. Dark actually having the better 300 count as well, but it's just more those misses on those extra 200s that managed to snag Estabine the first point, giving them kind of the hefty lead.
Absolutely. It was like what we were saying before we went into the chart, just the cleanliness of the performance coming to fruition. It would have come down to the 200 counts if they had both managed to handle that FC or Kleinekek. I feel like the margin between the two of them doesn't really do justice to how they performed on that chart. Actually able to outratio Estabine in terms of the 300 counts. Could spell danger if they can put a run together on the Rice charts, and with them up to pick now, an opportunity to go into something a little bit more up their alley in terms of consistency.
Maybe something potentially. Maybe they might want to jump into the simpler Rise, or maybe one of the other Res maps to try to throw Estabine off. Maybe something like. Maybe something like Rise 2, maybe even Rise 6 for the mixed race. But it could. But it's just such a damn.
Let's say it's be Rice 5 instead, keeping that Protect in the back pocket. Going to opt to save that for a little bit later on down the road, go into something. Personally, I think this is the hardest chart in this pool for the Rice pool, just based off one singular pattern alone. But literally everybody I've seen play through this chart has handled it marvelously, so I think I'm just bad at it. I'll just chalk it up to that.
Well, I mean, it is fairly mini jack tech oriented, so
Mhm.
it's just usually up people's alleys. You either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
And as Crystal said, do not be fooled by the 3-minute 31 drain time. There's around a minute and a half of gameplay, so it is very short. It'll be over in the blink of an eye, pretty much.
Yeah, there's a lot jam-packed into a very deceptively small package on this chart. There are definitely some landmines to be found throughout that can trip up both players, but honestly, I feel like whoever can handle the one section that I'm thinking about where it's basically just a two-hand mini jack transition where it's like 1-3-2-4 immediately back into themselves. It's so awkward to play through, but that'll be a conversation once we get to it. For now, we have this really gentle, calm LN introduction where the anchors aren't really the most intrusive thing. I don't foresee either player dropping on this, but I have been surprised before.
You never know what happens. I was
For
counting
sure.
for um I do believe Vio's match today,
Mhm.
and he found a substantial drop near the end, which threw me back over.
Yeah, this map definitely lends itself to some wild swings, especially because of the fact that you're doing some really heavy 3-note mini jack patterns at times, and just getting your hand down enough times to ensure that you're not bottoming out the key or you're not under hitting some of these structures going to be of the utmost importance. But both players so far holding on to their FCs down this mid to low 99% accuracy, still within catching distance of yours or Kleinekek, but right now Estabine riding this 5,000 point advantage. As long as they can keep the 200 count to a minimum, shouldn't be bleeding over too many points back into Kleinekek's direction. But with a quarter of the map still left to go, the pattern that I'm thinking of is coming up here. If they can handle this transition out of these two hand alternating jack patterns, everything from here on out is basically over for the chart. And just as quickly as it starts, it comes to an end, and both players hold on to the FCs, but the accuracy, the ratio battle being won by Estabine. The 200 counts coming down to the wire here as they get the first breakpoint in this match to make it 0-2.
Really good performance by both players, and as you did say with the with the tough bit there, it looked like they went through it flawlessly. But again, it's just gonna be the lower 200 count that does snag it at the end of the day. Estabine gets it, giving them again another hefty lead. So the thing about this map is you kind of just gotta watch out for the jacks, because especially if it's like a double tap, then if you early rush, then it can be detrimental, can cause you a lot of 200s for your liking.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't really have that much wiggle room if both players are able to pull out that performance. But looks like Estabine is actually going to be picking their Kleinekek's Protect here, going into Rice 6.
Jumping in, jumping into the volcano right here.
Not hitting this man with the grr in response. I mean, to be fair, if my opponent was picking my Protect against me to try and pull a fast one on me, I'd be kind of upset too. But to be fair, I don't think anybody I've played against enjoys playing LN, so I've kind of gotten away with it.
That's fair enough. I mean, if it was SB, it'd be definitely questionable.
Yeah. So both players ready almost immediately. I think they kind of understand the sooner they get this over with, the sooner they can get out of here. And their Kleinekek looking to try and notch their first point on the board. Need to get back one of these break points sooner rather than later, because after this, if this doesn't go their way, that is their Protect out the window, going the way of Estabine potentially as we get this map underway.
Well, encounter response, I'd pick their Protect.
Yeah, get your revenge. But as things stand, pretty balanced starts for both players. Very little separating them as we get this map underway. This is very much one of those types of jump stream picks where the snap variation can definitely throw you off if you're one of those that needs a solid downbeat. Enter Kleinikek actually gonna be finding the first break between the two players. Doesn't lose too much accuracy in the exchange, only about 0.2% behind, but that miss is gonna give Estimate a bit of a cushion to work with. 4,000 points to the good as they continue to try and make their way extend this lead. Enter Kleinikek finding a second drop as well. That one's going to start doing some pretty significant damage as we continue on into the second quarter of this map.
Yep. So as you did say, yeah, SB does kind of have that safety net, especially with the combo advantage right now. And Kleinikek again finding that next drop as well, also having that significant accuracy advantage for Estabine. The map does stay very flowy, just containing like this just a very similar jump stream and sometimes even dump stream and sometimes as well. Fairly mixed streams we're seeing for the map. However, we're only at the halfway point and Kleinikek is actually cashing their accuracy a bit back up. So anything can just really happen here, especially that, again, very consistent map to work with.
Yeah, for sure. They have definitely shown that they have the ability to stand toe-to-toe with Estabine in terms of overall ratio. It's really just those misses that have been their undoing so far, not answering too many of the 200s that Estabine has been dropping, as they do find a drop before too long and actually starting to fall behind in terms of the overall accuracy. This is potentially an opening for Kleinikek to start making some inroads, a bit of a comeback here as that 5-digit lead shrinks back down to about 4,500 points with a third of the map still left to go. Kleinikek above that 400 combo cap and above the 99% mark in terms of accuracy. Definitely in with a chance to pull this one back out.
It's just going to really have to be coming down to it's just going to have to be coming down to the last quarter. It is a bit more flowy and a bit more denser compared to what we've seen, but actually, it's starting to flicker a bit towards to Kleinikek. Anything could just change tide now. Even a 200 could just swing things back towards Kleinikek.
Yeah, absolutely. Estabine was riding the high of getting those extra misses in the back pocket, but trading them back, and the fact that, as I was mentioning earlier on, Kleinikek able to stand toe-to-toe as Estabine finds yet another drop. This lead swings back over to Kleinikek as the map begins to approach this outro. Last couple of notes raining down, and 3,000 points as Estabine finds yet another drop, and that one is going to be the one that seals it. Kleinikek gets the breakpoint back to make it 1-2, and there was a reason they protected it, and it paid off there.
It's a very good performance by both players. Really nice comeback we've seen from Kleinikek. Just had that small rough start at the first half, but just climb back up the ladder there for the second half. Kept his cool, and it's just something really to focus on matches. Even if you do get a miss near the start or anywhere, it's still not over. Just play like you're playing. Just play like you're just playing solo. Just go for what you can.
Absolutely. Able to withstand the early struggles to pull it out in the end. An opportunity to tie things up here if they make the right pick. And a little bit hard. You would want to throw out the protect to kind of equalize here, but the fact that it was the previous pick kind of makes it a little bit awkward. They still have 3 rice maps to go into. The outside chance of going into either the hybrid still a potential, but given the reaction to everything that's been going on, I highly doubt they'd want to willingly go into it. But as it stands, Kleinikek asking if Hybrid 2 was banned. That is correct. You can't go into the Sayura map in this matchup, so leave Sayonara Heaven and Transport up. Maybe they fancy your chances on the SV-esque hybrid.
Alright, Kleinikek, pick LMP. Surely the way to counteract them picking your protect is for you to pick theirs. Oh, just gotta look at the map.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it's like, you know which maps they are, you just don't know which position they're in. So it's like they might know that Transport and Sayonara Heaven are there, they just might not know if it's Hybrid 1 or 3. And sure enough, it's going to be Hybrid 3, so Transport going to be the pick here to try and equalize.
Here we go, the funny SB. Let's just hope. Let's just hope both these players have to say reading it.
I'd be very surprised given the fact that it's ranked. I feel like this is one of those like baby's first real ranked chart where you're not expecting the SVs to be there.
Yep. Sure, like the SBs are very simple, but clocking in around only 8, it's not too uncommon to see some 200s being dropped there, as we have seen some earlier players as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both players respond. It feels like with a chart like this, anticipation is, I think, the key word. Just try not to get ahead of yourself with some of those teleports that begin to happen and trusting where the impacts are going to be.
It all just really comes into mind. I mean, I think dropping 200 on the first 2 LNs, but should hopefully be fine. It's just not really looking too detrimental, thankfully.
Ooh, but as you say, Azure Kleinikek actually going to find the first break in the chart. Doesn't lose too much accuracy, but it does give Estabine once again that cushion to work with that we have been seeing them kind of nursing. Didn't work out for them on Rice 6. Did eventually fall off that perch to give the lead back over to their Kleinikek, but as we continue on into the second quarter of the map, we start to see these SVs begin to make their appearance in a bit more regularly, but they're very telegraphed to be able to read through, and neither player really been tripped up by them as we transition on further into the map, as to being still ahead by about 10,000 points here. Ooh, but as I say that, Estabine finding the drop here to trade it back eventually shrinks the lead in half, still keeping themselves ahead by virtue of being ahead in terms of accuracy, but that's still some free time that your Kleinikek's gonna have above that 400 combo cut to make some inroads in this deficit that Estabine has built up here.
Map's still fairly short, but again, Estabine does have that comfy. Estabine still has that comfy lead with the accuracy advantage, and getting back up to the max combo cap now. Oh, SB actually dropped 200 on those SBs, but not too detrimental, especially that, as you did say, he does have that cushion to work with, especially just having that accuracy advantage again. Finding a couple of 200s at some of those SBs, but again, just kind of having that recovery from the other simple rise areas and those simple LN releases. But there's just not much more map to work with, so unless something detrimental happens, I do believe that SB might be taking that break point back.
Oh, that being said, slider break here at the very end. For Kleinikek going to be able to sneak it out on the last structure of the chart. Oh my goodness. We were already calling it done. This is why we wait until the map's over. You never know what is going to happen. Estabine giving away that one at the very end as they opt to go immediately into their protect, just shotgunning it. You know what? No more playing around. We are going into the LNs.
That is commentating. That is commentating curse at its finest.
Yeah, you signed sealed and delivered that one.
That is my bad. Okay, here we go. I'm jumping straight into protect.
Oh no, did their Kleinikek not know that this was in the pool?
Oh, well, it's only a minute. Just blink of the eye and it's done, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'd say this is I would say technically our density pick, but again, since we are around for 2 and kind of difficulty low, you wouldn't really be calling it too dense. It's just more really. I'd just say more technical. That's the word I would give it.
Yeah, it definitely has its little embellishments here and there. These little roll sections where you're holding on to 1 or 2 columns at a time and having to play a quick little burst here and there. A couple of coordination sections that can trip you up, but everything's pretty friendly in terms of what you're being asked to play in the grand scheme of things. So, as you mentioned, a quick in and out, minute 30, but in that minute 30, so many things can go wrong.
Even just a miss or misjudgment could just be detrimental to just for the point.
So we're just gonna have to see how it goes, really. Again, quick in and out, just dipping your toes in and living them out.
Yeah, this match now becoming a glorified best of 5. Both players equaling each other out, one earn point, one break point apiece as we get through this introduction. And actually, Esteban picking up a couple of extra 200s through that intro. Plenty of time to recover the accuracy, but Der Kleinekek actually going to be holding on to the lead for right now as we continue on into the second quarter of the chart. About 0.2% ahead at the moment.
Looks like that both players are finding these islands comfortable. Well, Bean actually dropping a little more 200 for their liking, falling underneath that 99 range. So not really too great for it. But as we do kind of get into the halfway point where, again, we're just seeing these fairly simple shield patterns. That's been actually kind of actually a bit back up, being more comfortable with it. But again, the landing kick still not really showing any sign of breaking.
Yeah, they just look really comfortable so far, despite their maybe lack of comfort with LN. This one definitely, like I mentioned before, is just the friendlier of the two LN charts in this pool. And so long as you're able to release on time, can't really fault them too much as we continue on here. Last level chart, there's a funny little split trail here at the end that both of them navigate very well. And Der Kleinekek actually going to pick up a breakpoint on Esteban's Protect here to make it 3-2 now.
Really solid scores from both players, both getting the 299. Deadline Tech actually getting 200s as well, near enough to that V1 double F. So very good work to both players. Deadline Tech saying he didn't practice his math. It's pretty impressive how what fighter just can achieve. Because I do believe in the map that we showcased, um, that while this map was in the previous tournament, I do believe they were just saying that like a lot of people were kind of dying on this pick, and that people are just extremely comfortable with picks like these. That's genuinely
Yeah.
great too.
Yeah, when it made its appearance, this is definitely an older chart that it kind of caught people by surprise. But yeah, like you mentioned, just the caliber of play on display nowadays is like, okay, this is essentially one of those that you can just look at once and be like, okay, cool, I can like 990k this. But as we continue on here, Der Kleinekek having the opportunity to make this a match point situation as we continue on here, winning that LN2 pick. Might still not want to go into LN3 willingly, Hybrid 1 outside consideration, but we still have 3 rice picks. What I was thinking was going to be these two just kind of duking it out on the rice and then deciding what to do afterwards. How wrong I was, as it stands.
Oh, me too. I was just expecting them to go full in Rise, full deep V1 double S's maybe. Actually, for the like heck, I would say LN3 might not be a bad idea. Oh, they're doing Rise 1.
True to form, just making sure we're never correct in our predictions of what the pick is going to be. So Apollo 11 going to be the pick here to try and make this a match point situation. This is basically a bread and butter, can you handle the BPM type of pick.
Can you handle free note rolls? There's a lot of free note rolls with Vappy.
Yeah. Breaks up the monotony just a little bit here, but outside of that, it's essentially once you start, you don't stop. You get a tiny break in between, but just gotta be able to maintain the consistency. But with the way these two have been playing, I can imagine maybe 1 or 2 slip-ups here or there to make things a little bit exciting.
I would definitely say it occurred the second half. The second half definitely is a lot more trilly, and a bit more kind of all bets are off type of jump stream, especially with the trills. And maybe even in the halfway point where we do have the free note rolls, we could potentially see a couple of drops from there. Just as we did see kind of earlier where I think 1 or 2 players are missing on the breaks. But we're just gonna have to see. This is a banger map. This is a really nice banger map, by the way. The song as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very enjoyable to play through, very enjoyable to listen to. Kind of just Sets the mood a little bit in terms of what you would want when playing through something. But on the transition into the first real big jump stream section, Estimate actually gonna pick up an early drop here, gonna bring them down into that low 99.3 range. To Kleinekek standing above them right now, 99.6 for them, still holding on to the FC and crossing that 400 combo cap, getting able to stretch this advantage just a little bit here for the moment as we clear through this introduction.
Definitely, both players still managing this very fine. Apart from that miss. Um, Still holding on very well. I feel like it might come down to 300 count, and this is why I was saying the free note rolls, kind of transitioning between, kind of alternating between each hand, but I do think both players are still well managing this fine. I don't believe there is any 200s drop. I'm not too sure about that, but here we go, just heading back into the thing again, where I do believe there is another small break. But as I was saying, here we are, a lot more trills. You can see a lot more split trills. There's a lot more trills in general as well. And here we go, back to the alternating rolls.
Yeah, just a little bit of a palate cleanser before you jump right back on into it. And Estabine, as we were going through that section, able to climb back up in terms of overall accuracy, back to contest against their Kleinekek, who has picked up a couple extra 200s for themselves. Going to shrink this lead ever so slightly. Both of them transitioning out of that LN back into the jump stream. Last third of the chart still left to go here. About a minute left for both of them to hang on. With a lot to play for, Kleinekek looking to try and make it that match point situation. Estabine looking to try and get that break point back to help restore parity. And as we continue on, still a quarter of the map left to go. Very little in the way of seeding ground for Kleinekek as they still manage to hold on to this 5,000 point lead. And Estabine actually picking up another drop, going to help extend this advantage for Kleinekek, who does not trade any misses back. Still holding on to the FC going into the outro here.
I don't know if there's gonna be enough map left. Even though there is still like no more breaks, and both players hit that very awkward split frill kind of flam pattern well, and yeah, just because of that, I don't think there's just enough map left, unless their line kick finds a very bad note lock. But I don't really see that anytime happening soon, and it does look like, and with Bean finding that over miss, it is just really gonna be. It's just going to be putting the bread on top of the sandwich. And yeah, there we go.
Yeah, very well played by Kleinekek, holding on to the FC. I think this is actually the first time Estabine out ratios them in terms of 300 count. But unfortunate now is Shu on the other foot, finding the drops here and there that were plaguing Kleinekek to start this match off. But still not out of it yet. Estabine up to pick one more time, needs to get a break point to force the tiebreaker to come out now, but needs to make the all-important decision of what they want to go into in what is going to be their last pick in this match, regardless of what happens here.
Anything is still up on the board. Honestly, maybe you could probably take another chance with something like, maybe go for one of the awkward map. So maybe something like rice free. Just seeing how close they were in the rice. It might be pretty wise to pick something like that.
Yeah, for sure. But for right now, the most important pick in this match, as our referee recaps what has been picked so far: Rice 1, 4, 5, 6, LN2, Hybrid 2, and 3. That also includes the ones that were banned out, so nobody gets confused here. Gonna wait and see what Estabine decides to go for. Has some options in the Rice pool, still has an LN, still has a Hybrid to go into, but with the way LN2 went, might want to shy away from Magnolia, and with the way Transport went, might want to avoid Sayonara Heaven, and it's gonna be Rice 2.
I was expecting one of the risks to be picked, honestly. And there you go. Heading into kind of a more snappy bursting map. Definitely straying away from a bit more consistency, which is definitely going to be interesting to see how things kind of go for this.
For sure, as we wait for the map to get loaded up here. We wait to see. This is kind of last chance saloon for Estabine here. Either Kleinekek gets this break point and closes this match out, causing the upset, or Estabine gets their point and needs to get that break point back to force the tiebreaker to come through here.
It would be pretty cool to see that happen. We need that tiebreaker. Now we're just waiting for, we're just waiting for the players to ready up.
Yeah, I might need to get things settled in here. Looks like, contrary to popular belief, the map did get selected. I think Bancho's been eating a couple messages throughout this stream, but the players are going to load into the match proper. Things just catching up here before too long, and we'll transition on over to the next screen to see what the players are in for. And sure enough, loaded in now, everything catching up all of a sudden, and oh boy, we are seeing Derkleinikek picking up a bit of a rush. Both players look like they're still FCing, but just a couple of extra lower judgments to damage their accuracy a little bit more than Estabine for the moment. But Estabine finding the drop in transition to this next section. This is very much one of those more dump-oriented type of picks where things just pick up and slow down that can cause a little bit of discomfort. But as we continue on, Derkleinikek going to be nursing this 10,000 point lead, not trading back any of the misses so far as we transition on into the back half of the chart here.
As we can see, although Estabine does have the advantage, again we still kind of have Derkleinikek keeping more of the cool, having that combo advantage, and especially in a map like this, only 140 long misses again can be detrimental. But I do think it is going to be flickering back over to this point, as it does have nearly 0.2% accuracy back higher.
Yeah, about 0.2%, but another drop coming through here as we transition into these staircase rolls, catching them out once again before going back into the LNs, going to bring them back down below that 99% mark, and Estabine going to take this and ride it all the way to 30,000 points at the very tail end of the chart. Not a lot that Estabine can do there, and Derkleinikek going to be able to cause the upset here, the 51st seed knocking out the 46th seed and closing this match out by a score of 5-2.
Well played to both players in that map. Unfortunately, again, there's always just going to have to be one winner, one loser. I mean, let's play something like CS.
Yeah.
But it's not CS, it is major tournaments where there's always one winner and one person who gets knocked out. So unfortunately, we will be having to wait to be in the round of 32 loser bracket. After they will be having another shot in next week's for the round of 16 loser bracket, where I do believe they will be facing seed 57 Sharkful. So just stay tuned for that, which will be next week, because we do not have any more matches for this week. And actually, pretty close now, we will be getting our round of 16 showcase. So that will be in about an hour or two. I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll start ping. So just stay tuned for that.
Yeah, for sure. I think we do have, it is going to be immediately after the final match, so this one just finishing up. So gonna take some time here just to get things settled, get things set up for that aforementioned showcase. The bracket is determined. We have our competitors going into the round of 16. Some additional things we'll go over as we get into the showcase as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that ping for the showcase that'll be happening within the hour. I imagine we'll try and aim for the top of the hour, but you know how things go sometimes. So definitely be on the lookout. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
Take care. Goodbye.